This video is made possible by the EA Creator Network and was captured on a work-in-progress build. What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to give you can't-miss tips and tricks that you need to know ahead of starting your Madden 26 franchise mode. First piece of business, you have to decide whether or not you want to play in an offline franchise mode or an online franchise mode. There are pros to each mode, but you have to decide which one is right for you because you can't go back and change it. In online franchise mode, things are generally quicker, and when there is big title updates to the game, that we have seen historically, updates come first to online franchise modes that later eventually come and be patched in to existing offline franchise modes. So that is something to keep note of. Also, if you're just simming through, you're doing a rebuild, and you want to go and pick up the pace just a little bit, there are faster simulation times in an online franchise mode, on top of the fact that obviously if you are in a multi-user league, you have to select this option. Now for an offline franchise mode, there is no connection required to an EA server, so if there's ever server maintenance going down when you are available to play your franchise mode, if it's offline, you're still going to have access for it. You can create multiple players throughout your franchise mode in an offline state. People ask when I do my Pink Slip series, how do I control every other team in the NFL on top of my main franchise? Well, I can do that in an offline franchise. So there are a lot of value for each one of these options. Make sure you choose the right one for you. Step 2 of creating your franchise mode. This was actually a question I saw a surprising amount in my Madden 25 content, is selecting your roster file. Now you can select just your default roster file. This is what I would suggest using if you want to make a couple trades before your franchise start. And it's the roster that you have loaded off the main menu before you click into your franchise mode. This is what you will load with. But I saw a lot of people last year asking, how am I starting with pre-existing starting points? Throughout the year, Madden, I used to be every 4 weeks, they would give you a different starting point for you to start your franchise mode. And people had no idea where to select that. Here is where you select it, and the second stage of creating your franchise mode. Choosing your team is fairly self-explanatory, but to answer another question, if you are wanting to play with a custom created team through Teambuilder, as you can see right below the webcam here, this is where you would hit X. We're going to replace the San Francisco 49ers. And if you had a Teambuilder team downloaded, here is where you would import them to use in your franchise mode. A big change, the big addition coming to Madden 26 franchise mode, I think, is the game within the game of your coach. Now you have to level up your coach. There's a bunch of abilities to use in your coach. You have to manage throughout the season which abilities you want active, which abilities you want to upgrade. I think it is a welcome addition to the world of franchise mode here in Madden 26. Here's where you get to choose what coach build you want to go. You have 3 archetypes: offensive guru, defensive genius, and development wizard. Now, I don't know 100% the upload schedule, which videos I have coming up, but I do have 3 videos breaking down what I think will be the meta build for these 3 coaches coming very soon, or they're already up on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And if you don't want to start your own head coach, you could select a real-life coach of whatever team you're playing with. So for the Eagles, I could be Nick Sirianni. But for the sake of showing you the new improvements to coach and coach creation, I'm going to create a coach for this video. I also just want to update that the coach customization here in the little creation suite has got much needed TLC. Last year, it was severely lacking in this department. There was not nearly enough options. There was not nearly enough customization options, and that's, I think, why they let off in the Madden 26 Deep Dive blog for franchise mode with the TLC that they have shown to coach creation, as it's absolutely in a much better spot than where it was a year ago. And they gave the same TLC to the attire that you can wear on your coach this season. Plenty of options to get you guys swagged out on the sidelines. Now, they may not have my all-white Air Force Ones, but they also have some very nice shoe selections that you can choose. I'm not a sneakerhead by any means, but what are those? Now, I'm not going to go through every single setting. I may actually have like a rebuild setting type video breaking down what I use in all my rebuilds coming out, but I don't want to talk to you guys like you've never played the game before. I want this to be more so showing off some of the new features and some of my personal tips and tricks for a franchise mode. And what they've actually added that's something new is your ability weekly recap. This is for the brand new coach ability, and I think it's worth having this on because at least for your first run through in franchise mode, as you level up your coach, you unlock new abilities, and it's a great recap and great reminder of when your coach does level up, what abilities you are unlocking at that given level. This is also where you can decide for your franchise mode, do you want to have the brand new wear and tear system in your gameplay experience. I personally think it should be the new standard. It was something that was honed in the college football world that they're bringing over to Madden for the first time this year, and I think it absolutely revolutionized the week-to-week basis of managing your players and giving you that realistic experience. But if it is something that is not for you, I'm very appreciative of the fact, and I think this should exist for just about everything within franchise mode. They give you the option to turn it on or off. You also have the option here for your pre-order bonus as it relates to franchise mode. If you pre-ordered Madden 26, you will get 200 coach credits every single time you start a franchise mode. If you want that off and you want to start maybe with a harder challenge, this is where you would toggle it off. Or if somehow it toggled off and you were expecting your 200 credits, this is where you should have made sure it was turned on. Now we load into our franchise mode. I think the first thing you need to check out is Coach Central. This is going to be the hub for all things for the game within the game of Madden 26 franchise mode, and that is the journey of leveling up and progressing your coach and coaching staff. So in Coach Central, you're going to get an overview of your head coach, your offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator, and your trainer. This is also where you're going to be able to pay attention to your active abilities, where your abilities rank. This is where you're going to be able to spend your coach credits to level up your abilities. This is where you're going to be able to see how much further you need to go to unlock as your coach goes from level 1 all the way up to level 50, and keep track of when these abilities and perks are going to be available to your coach in your franchise mode. This is also where you're going to be able to see your progression. You can level up these abilities not just by saving as many coach credits and manually upgrading them. As you can see right here, we could spend 30 credits to get this from tier 3 happier feet up to tier 4 happier feet. But you're also going to be able to see your progression goals, where if I get 400 yards passing in a game, I'm going to get that level up from 3 to 4. However, if we throw 2 picks in a game 2 times, it will regress us from tier 3 down to tier 2. Now, I don't want to do like a full-on absolute breakdown of this. I think the deep dive blog for Madden 26 franchise mode does a great job of that. But there is also the end game to this, is eventually you'll have the opportunity to master each one of these tiers. So once you get down to tier 4 and you have that unlocked, the next progression goal for the upgrade will be to master that tier. And if you master each tier, and I can get down to tier 4 mastery of happier feet, you do not have to worry about downgrades. I can literally get tier 4 mastery, happier feet, and then tank, go 0-16 for 3 years straight, and I will not regress because you did the hard work on upgrading that ability. In this hub, it's also a great place to pay attention to your play sheets, which have the same upgrade-downgrade mechanism that we have for our coach abilities, where you are going to have to work your way through the tiers from tier 1 all the way to tier 4, and you can upgrade them by either spending points or earning upgrades. And if you start to stink, you have to be wary of the downgrades that could be available. And then hopefully at some point you can master all these tiers and eliminate yourself from the worry of the downgrades. And very much like the base abilities, you will be unlocking new play sheets all the way down for this coach build in particular to level 46. It's also a great spot to keep track of your goals, be it milestone, in-game goals, and your narrative goals. Now, if I had to guess what would be the most popular question that people are coming to this video saying, how do I fix? What do I do here? And it is going to be, how do you change what your active abilities are? As you can see right now, we have 3 active abilities: happier feet, big back, and sure hands from our offensive coordinator. And we're also, to answer 2 questions maybe at once, when you have a higher level coach, and we're at this week 1, before we even interact with training camp, here's where you're going to want to make sure that if you have a coach build that has, say, the camp counselor ability, which if you have a player development coach, it gives you an additional 100 rookie snaps for gold medal in training camp, which is what you need to unveil rookies with hidden dev traits. Tier 2, Tier 3 gives you big-time player training camp boosts for XP, and then Tier 4 gives you a 5% boost to dev trait upgrade odds in training camp minigames. You're going to want to make sure you have that preloaded as an active ability before you do your training camp drills at the very beginning of your season. So to change what your active abilities are, you do all that within your weekly strategy menu as soon as you load it up. And now it's maybe, you gotta figure it out, and I'll make you feel a little bit better. I wasn't too sure how to do this when I first loaded up our Madden 26 franchise mode. And then when you figure it out, it's like, okay, it does kind of make sense, because you still have here in the weekly training, this is where you would set your practice. This is where you would select your focus players. Hopefully, you get your extra focus unlocked with after school tutor at some point. You'll be able to have a full 6 players as focus and getting that extra XP on a given week. But here with your weekly loadout is where you change your play sheets, where you change your trainer abilities, where you change your staff abilities. And as you can see, you can unlock up to 4 play sheets to have active once you reach level 40, and you can have 6 staff abilities active once you reach level 31. Move the webcam out of the way here and show you how to change your active abilities. So you get hit A on your staff loadout here, and you will have your 3 locked-in abilities. We have Happier Feet, Big Back, and Sure Hands. But say on a given week, you know, I want to maybe have my Coach XP go up a little bit, or because we're going into training camp, maybe we want that little boost to our wide receiver. So let's get rid of Big Back. You just hit A to deselect it. We'll get rid of Sure Hands to deselect it. We'll unlock No Fly Zone just because that is our best overall and highest level ability as we start. And because we are going into training camp, we will active up the player development here of our XP for wide receiver and tight end. I also think it's kind of cool how they changed the presentation there on the right side of the screen of your matchup and scouting report just for our preseason game here against the Bengals. It gives you some positional matchups, gives you some mismatch, some matchups to watch, gives you an idea of what their defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator have as far as tendencies, gives you 15 tidbits of information all at the axis of just moving around the right stick, which I love how efficient and seamless that is. There's no clicking in and out of menus. It's all right there at your fingertips. We have training camp. Obviously, don't skip training camp. Get into the mini games, earn some XP with the right upgrades, with the right coach abilities. If you have the right coach build and you have it unlocked, you're going to have a chance to increase your players' dev traits by getting the gold medal in these drills. The drills have been changed a little bit in Madden 26. There's not as many drills. They've changed up the running back drill. In my personal opinion, I do feel like drills have got harder, have got more difficult, and maybe that's what was needed because it did kind of feel like last year it was kind of autopilot. You get your gold medals automatically every single time. This year, especially the running back drill. The running back drill for the last 3 years was an instant gold medal. Now, have fun. I think I got gold medal once in 4 tries, and now I'm not necessarily saying I'm selling ebooks and C4 ebooks are flying off the shelves, but I think many of you will enjoy the added challenge here to the training camp drills. I just want to reiterate from someone that enjoys just rebuilds. I think such an integral part of rebuilds are finding an avenue to unlocking all 6 of these focus player spots, because your focus players on average, just from my experience, feels like you're going to get at least 2, maybe even 3 extra overall skill point upgrades throughout the year for your focus players if they have the right dev trait, and obviously they're probably on the right side of 26. This is where you can have insane targeted growth to some of your best young players. If you have a coach build and you can get an unlock after school tutor, which will eventually give you 3 additional focus player spots, and then you get that tier 4, which will give you a 10% increase to training XP for all players. Very, very powerful. Combine those 2, best success for rebuilds. The wear and tear system, while we're still here in your weekly training, this is very important. You have your active abilities. Those are from your trainer coach, and right now we have reduced wear and tear taken during full practices, and we reduce the benchmark for a player to be probable as they have changed up kind of the injury statuses of players, going with a more realistic approach that we haven't seen. So we're going to go with full pad just to kind of give an example of this. As you can see, the recap will break down what kind of wear and tear, what area was affected of wear and tear. Like right there, we got -1 speed to Kyle McCord. You are also going to be able to see the injury diagnosis for your players. So I think luckily we got pretty healthy here outside of Danny Gray, who suffered an injury here. Wear and tear, a dislocated wrist. Definitely not ideal, but here's where you're going to be able to keep tabs. We also had Patrick Johnson, Tristan McCollum hit some tough injuries during our first practice here in the preseason. Luckily, no one with any other diagnosis. We have a healthy defense, but here's where you're going to be able to manage that. That is why, with those injuries, it is very important not just to put the blinders on for developing your coach and just wanting to say if you do want to spend your staff points right away, you don't want to go through the grind process of earning upgrades through in-game goals. You might just say, I just want my head coach to be my priority. Well, with wear and tear, that trainer becomes a lot more valuable. He is going to give you boosts to how you want to practice and limit your injuries. If you want to do a full practice or a half practice, he's going to give you some wear and tear buffs that are going to help it, so it's not as punishing with the wear and tear. It's going to give you injury chance mitigation. It's going to give you recovery buffs. So I do think the trainer is going to be something that you may not think. You may think it's an afterthought because of, you just want to get those boosts to your coach, to your player XP earn rates, to your offense with, +4 to throw power, +4 to catching, offensive line blocking, defensive line block shed, finesse move, power move, zone coverage, man coverage. All that is great, but it won't mean anything if your team is not on the field. Ask Detroit Lion fans last year. So I think showing TLC to the trainer as you can upgrade its abilities, very important. Before we move on, I'm trying to think, what else from this initial menu could people be saying, what do we do? I guess within GM's office, this is where you would be able to relocate your team. That's just like a little bit different of a presentation than what we've seen in years past. So this is how you're able to either rebuild your stadium or relocate your franchise somewhere else. As from the player tab, we're getting the little breakdown here from having the tutorial pop-ups on of player tags, motivations, abilities. But I want to hop in here just to show traits, as that is something new where every player has this access to a bunch of traits. For Saquon Barkley, we got Highlight Reel, we got Whirlwind, Elusive Instinct, Cover Ball. Now this, you're going to feel more when you're playing the CPU, but you also have the option to kind of modify what player traits your player has at this section of your player card that you can access any point on your franchise menu, be it in depth chart or just looking at your lineup as a whole. Now let's go to the changes to scouting, because there is definitely some importance. So this base scouting looks like it did last year, where you're able to have 1 tier 3 scout, 1 tier 2 scout, 3 tier 1 scouts. Now I will have a scouting and drafting guide video dropping at some point on the channel, so stay tuned for that. I'll give you guys some nice little tips and tricks so you can dominate your draft in your franchise mode. But I think the easiest way to know where to set your scouting staff, where positions you want to be featured, is just go look at the region breakdown. They give you this information right away where I can see nationally the strength of this class are going to be corner, wide receiver, and halfback. So I want to make sure that my tier 3 national scout, unless I absolutely need a given position, like if I absolutely need, let's say, quarterback, you could just bite the bullet, and even though it's not a strength, make your tier 3 scout quarterback to give you as much information throughout the year on the quarterbacks of that given class. But if you are, say, at a beginning rebuild where you need everything, the easiest way, just grab a piece of paper, look at the strengths. So we have corner, wide receiver, running back, and then go through west, central, northeast, and southeast, writing down the strengths of those given regions. You can prioritize, obviously, which one of those positions may be more important to your team as far as getting that information. And then from that, there is no punishment for hiring and firing scouts during this stage. So just go ahead and you could fire all the scouts you want, rehire all the scouts that you want, but make sure, based off of the information that you just wrote down and the strengths of those regional breakdown, that you have your scouts line up positional expertise 1 and positional expertise 2 with the positions for that given draft class. So that's just going to give you the best chance at finding the best players and getting good scouting information on them throughout the season. Now, scouting did get a considerable mechanism overhaul, as now your scouting is going to be tied to the abilities that you can unlock throughout your coaching tree. So we have here Eagle Eye, which is going to give us increased reduction on the letter range unlock of scouting. We have Talent Evaluator, which is going to be a reduction on the talent range unlock of players. Going to get positional abilities here for linebackers, for safeties, for corners, etc., etc. And all these are going to give you from a 2% all the way down to a 5% general scouting buff on those given positions. But the big upgrades that you're going to notice, you start with Scout Squad, which is going to give you the ability to hire up to 5 tier 2 scouts. So you have the base formula from last year where you can have 1 tier 3, 1 tier 2, and 3 tier 1 scouts. But with the ability here of Scout Squad, if you max it out all the way down to tier 4, you are going to be able to have up to 5 tier 2 scouts on your scouting staff. Then the final version of that is at level 33 as a coach, you're going to unlock Scout's Honor, which will give you up to 5 tier 3 scouts to have while you're scouting. And when we do our video breaking down our scouting and drafting tips, I will have a coach that is maxed out with Scout's Honor just to make things as overpowered as possible. As you can see, we have Scout Squad maxed out where we can hire up to 5 tier 2 scouts. Let's go apply that. So before we can go hire all of our tier 2 scouts during the hire your scout stage, you have to now go to your weekly loadout and make it an active ability. It's all about getting that muscle memory of this mechanism. So we're going to get rid of Big Back for the time being, and we are going to go down here and activate Scout Squad. Now that is going to allow you to fill out your entire staff with, I would still recommend having your 1 3-star scout be your national scout, but then based off of the regions, fill out with 2-star scouts. Ideally, in a perfect world, you can min-max and have both Expertise 1 and Expertise 2 line up with the given region. Now, remember I said during the settings, you're going to want to kind of see your coach ability progress tracker. You have an option to turn it off, but turn it on. We're going to leave it turned on. This is what it looks like when you level up a coach. You see, you get what happened for you to hit your goal, all the different ways you were earning XP. Obviously, the biggest way tends to be when you win the game. It gives you progress on your loadout and your active abilities, and even non-active abilities if you are leveling them up based off of like the progression of what it what it requires. Like you can see for the heavy eye play sheet, you get 175 rushing yards in a game. We're getting very close to that, and when you do get it, you will see it level up to tier 2, tier 3, etc., etc. This is also where you're going to be able to keep tabs on the unlocks that your coach earns through just leveling up from level 1 to level 2 to level 2 to level 3. We now have access to offensive line training XP boosts. So there you go, fellas. I think those are all the tips you guys need to know. Going into your Madden 26 franchise mode, we broke down the new coach game within the game with leveling up the abilities, talked about the play sheets, talked about training camp, showed you the weekly training and how that's also your hub to activate which abilities are going to be active. That could be something that you got to build that muscle memory of checking that every single week and ensuring everything is in the right spot. I showed you the changes to scouting and how the scouting is tied to your coach abilities. We broke down the wear and tear system and how you cannot sleep on your trainer as you upgrade throughout with your staff points. Don't just put on the blinders and say, I want my OC, I want my DC, I want my +4 finesse move, I want my +4 throw accuracies. At some point in time, player availability is going to be your best abilities, and you're going to want to show the love to the trainer. But if there's anything that I missed out on this video, I didn't want to go super introductory with the guide and break down like how to upgrade players and how to trade players and stuff like that. And we're also going to have other videos breaking down, I think, meta builds for the 3 different coach archetypes. I'm going to have a scouting and recruiting guide, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If it is your first time hitting the channel, hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned for those videos. If there's any questions that you guys have for Madden 26 franchise mode, don't be afraid to ask them in the comment section below. I will answer and get to each and every one. But that'll do it for me today, guys. I hope you learned something. If it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button as we're getting ready to hit the next final big plateau milestone goal for the channel of 200,000 subscribers. It would be pretty cool to hit that at some point in time. Leave a comment if you have any other questions, and that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out, love ya, have a good one.